Hello there.
And welcome.
Towards the end of 2009, the rapidly growing Machinima Incorporated, having already found success on YouTube, decided to create an additional channel to house a new type of content. By gathering a collection of great video makers with even greater personalities, Machinima had not only created one of the fastest growing YouTube channels of all time, but one of the most popular channels, period.
If I had to explain Machinima, I would say specifically I'm on Machinima Respawn. And Machinima Respawn focuses mainly on first-person shooters, action type of video games. And if I had to boil down Machinima into a sentence, that is difficult because it is a plethora of things. There's gameplay commentary, there are produced shows, there are in-house shows. It is everything and anything in relation to video games.
All right, Machinima started as literally like the name of a sort of a budding art form, shooting narratives inside of game engines because that's cheaper than building sets. And it ended up being the name of this network that was formed and eventually split into a number of different channels, including Machinima Respawn. And that was because in addition to traditional Machinima, more and more stuff started popping up, specifically in our case, gameplay commentaries.
Before we decided to launch into launching the Respawn channel, we had experienced a lot of growth on YouTube, and really where we saw the growth was in the gameplay space. We were uploading considerably more gameplay because we were getting more of it, and this new phenomenon where guys were just putting gameplay and they were talking over it, almost kind of like vlogging, and that was really finding a lot of eyeballs.
One of the things that sort of we looked at and that sort of started to come up when we were looking at videos and how do we expand the network and stuff was we noticed that there was this sort of like subculture of people doing gameplay commentaries, and they were exploding. People were doing huge numbers with recording their gameplay and just talking over it, which was something that before just even a year or two before that was really foreign. I mean, it was even foreign at that time. And so we looked at that and we're like, is there a way to sort of make a programming model out of this for a channel? And that's kind of where Respawn came from. It came from a lot of different places. One of the things I remember talking about was, what is, when you think about ESPN and SportsCenter, how do you replicate what that did for sports with gaming? And part of that obviously was the gameplay commentary.
I guess since they are an actual big-ass company, they probably thought about, looked at all these other guys that were uploading gameplays and seeing a bunch of people watching them, and they were like, yeah, let's jump into that and see what we can make of it. And it was the perfect opportunity. I guess there was a little bit of luck involved in it as well, because who knew that gameplay commentaries would get this big?
It was a pretty clear choice in my mind. If I was working at Machinima, then I don't think it would have been too difficult to come up with that when you look at the rising popularity of gameplay commentaries at that time. It was just huge, it just blew up. And so for an entire channel to be dedicated strictly to gameplay seemed like a natural progression of gaming videos.
Yeah, basically there was just enough there for it to make sense to have its own channel, and I think that was a really interesting risk that Machinima was willing to take. And I remember being in the meeting with Alan, our CEO, and basically Rob and I, our VP of programming, pitched him, and Aaron, pitched him on the idea of doing a gameplay channel.
I do remember one of the meetings that we had, we were talking about early on what the channel would be, and I was sitting there, and someone came up with the idea that we would take videos from other people that they had created and submit them to us, and then we would put them up on this channel, which would eventually become Respawn. And I remember hearing all these ideas, and everyone was really enthusiastic about it, and I believe one of our really high executives was in that meeting at the time, and I remember going, this is never going to work. This is going to be a total disaster. Like, you guys don't know what you're asking for, and this is like a much bigger project than you seem to think it is. It's never going to work. obviously fast forward 2 years and I've completely eaten crow on that one, so maybe that's why no one listens to me anymore.
Yeah, so when we were trying to come up with a name for the channel, I basically went back to my desk and I started brainstorming a bunch of ideas, and obviously I had talked with Sark a lot about what we should call the channel, and I just started listing out a bunch of names on my notepad, and I think we had, I want to say, at least 20 or 30 different names.
I remember the day we were in a room, it was like 20 of us kicking around names, trying to figure out what we were going to call the channel, and we went through various different iterations, but I remember, you know, once someone, I can't remember what it was, it might have been Anthony, said, you know, what about Machinima Respawn? And it just kind of clicked around the room, and everyone saw it in their eyes, like, yeah, that's it. And so we landed on Machinima Respawn, and now this is history.
At the time, it was like doors were wide open. I'm like, does anybody want to make gameplay videos?
As soon as we came into to Respawn, I knew we were going to model it slightly after the main channel, which is submitted content.
So I think it really evolved just from a personality standpoint and seeing more of their personalities come out on camera as opposed to just having the standard voiceover of the gameplay.